So welcome everyone to today's session. Today we'll be going to discuss briefly on unemployment and its role in development. So let's start with this topic. So we'll cover its definition, its degree, and its measurement method first. Then we'll go towards its role in development. So let's move. So unemployment, when we see the word unemployment, the first question we need to answer is how much duration an unemployment should be without a job to consider them unemployed. So first we need to think that how much days we if he is unemployed, we'll say yes, he is unemployed. Otherwise, if he is unemployed for lesser days, we'll assume that he's not unemployed. So how much days we should think that it's sufficient to consider a person unemployed if he does not get a job during those days. So uh, during my previous surveys, I find out that people say it's a 1 year or half a year or maybe less than a year. But consider this, that if a person do not have any resource and he does not have any income, technically he cannot survive even a day. So it means if a person is poor and he does not have resources and he is unemployed for uh, 1 day, then technically we should consider him unemployed. But the problem is that let's see, and I will get to the problem. So developed economies realized this issue. They found out that the unemployment is a very serious problem, and it should have a very small unit. It means it should not be like if he's unemployed for 1 month and we consider him unemployed, or he's unemployed for 1 year, so we consider him unemployed. So what they did, they adopted the weekly wage system, whereas in Pakistan it is monthly wage system. So according to Pakistan's definition, if a person do not have a job for a month, we will count him as unemployed. It means he have to survive for 1 month, so that we can count him as unemployed to give him some stipend or some support. So, but the problem is, if a person do not have any resources, he will never survive a month. So, but on other side, developed countries made it to a smaller unit. They are now giving wages weekly. It means it means if a person is unemployed for 1 week, then they will count him as unemployed. It means there are more chances to survive a week than to survive a month. So that's why the severity of the problem should be considered, that the countries like Pakistan are not focusing on solution to the problem. They are actually uh, thinking that a person should not have a if person do not have a job for 1 month, then we'll count him as unemployed. But that definition is very is unfair for people who are unemployed. So what are the consequences? It causes a wastage of scarce resource. So the labor is also a scarce resource. So because every person has a limited time in this world, and they have a limited time in a day, or they have a limited time in a month to work for and to earn living. So if they do not have a job, it means that limited time is being wasted. So unemployment is actually leading to wastage of our labor resource. So secondly, unemployment also differentiates between the people who have and people who do not have. Because a person who is unemployed, he is actually depleting in terms of his resources. So he is eating his resources every day. So his resources are depleting. While the person who have a job, his resources are growing. So while comparing both, so unemployment is a differentiator. So it tells us who have and who do not have. Then is a major root of all ills, of all social issues. So unemployed person may engage in crime, or he may engage in social unrest, or he may engage in he may decide to uh, do suicide. So it's a major root of many social issues, because he's not engaged in economic activity, so he is engaging in other possible scenarios. So, who is unemployed? So, a person is unemployed if all of the following conditions are met within last week. So, if all of the properties are fulfilled, then we will count him as unemployed. Otherwise, he is not unemployed. First is he should be adult. In many countries, it is age 10 or above. In Pakistan, it is age 17 or above. He is without work, and he is temporarily laid off. So it means he do not have a job, or he was on a contract and that business is closed for now, closed nowadays. Okay. So secondly, third option is he's looking for work and he's available for work. Means he's adult, he do not have a job, and he's looking for work. Fourth is he's not institutionalized. Means that he is not a student, or not an internee, or not a patient, or not in a jail. So institutionalized means the person is engaged or admitted in an institute. Institutes can be prison, institute can be an hospital, institute can be an education institute, institute can be an internship. So if a person is already institutionalized, we will count him as not unemployed, because he is engaged in some other activity. Okay. The last is he should be economically active. Economically active means he is not retired, he is not handicapped, he is not involved in household duties. So it means by definition, who is unemployed, he should be, let's write it on the screen and then summarize it. So yes, so an unemployed person is an adult who do not have a job, and he is willing to work. Means he wants to work, and he is looking for work. Willing and looking to work. And then he is not institutionalized. So it means he's not a student, he's not an internee, he's not a patient, he's not a prisoner. Okay. Then and he is economically fit to work. Means he is not a retired person, means he is not older than 65. He is not handicapped, means he can easily move and do the required job, fulfill the requirement of a job. And he is not a house, he is not a house person, or she is not a housewife. So if these properties are met, we'll count that person, male or female, as unemployed. Okay. Let's move forward. This was a definition. Okay. So next is, what is the difficulty in measuring unemployment? So it is easy to measure who is unemployed and who is unemployed. We can easily differentiate between a person who is employed or is unemployed, and that can be done using his salary statement. If a person is getting a salary, he is employed, and if he is not getting a salary, he is unemployed. It's very easy to measure. But the problem is it's very difficult to measure between who is unemployed and who is not in the labor force. Okay, what are the reasons? Sometimes people are choosy in terms of what jobs they want. So it means they are choosy. So they intentionally don't apply for jobs that they don't like. So it means that by definition, they should be unemployed, but since they are not applying for jobs, so they are not in labor force. So, but the problem is it depends upon their intentions. So it's very difficult to measure intention. If he has not applied for the job because he is choosy, or he has not applied for the job because he do not want to work. So since we don't know, so what happens that it is very difficult to measure if he is unemployed or if he is not in labor force. Secondly, second option can be his reserve wage or wage expectations are very high. Means he will start work if he gets a minimum wage that he has set. So he will only apply, go for a work if he's getting a minimum wage that he thinks of. So he will not work if the wage is low, and the wage given by the business is low. So it means now we need. It's very difficult to find what is his expected reserve wage. So and so that we can find if he's not applying for a job because he's not getting a job, or he's not applying a job because he knows the wages are too low. So it means it is difficult to differentiate if he's unemployed or not in labor force. So what is meant by not in labor force? Not in labor force people are those people who are not a potential labor. They are not eligible or capable of uh, work, capable of fulfilling the work requirements. For example, a retired person, so or an injured person or an ill person. So they are not technically capable of doing the work. So we count them as not in labor force. Next is some people are discouraged because of job requiring failure. So sometimes people have applied for job for many for long, and they are not getting the job. So they are now discouraged. So rather than applying for more jobs, they rather quit applying for jobs. Now it is very difficult to measure if they are not getting a job because they are not applying for it, or they are not getting a job because uh, they do not want to get a job. So it means if they are unemployed or not in labor force, it's very difficult to differentiate. Next is some people are switching between jobs, shifting in a new city, learning new skills. Now these people are differentiable because if they are switching between jobs, it means they will eventually get a job. If they are switching between cities and learning new skills, they are frictional or structural unemployed. So we can measure it, but it takes time to find everyone who is doing what. Last is there are particular jobs like stock market, self-employment, and since they do not declare that they are self-employed, so it's really not easy to find and easy to determine if they are unemployed or not in labor force. So these are few technical issues that needed to be addressed while you do a survey to find who is employed and who is not in labor force and who is not employed. Let's move forward. So now we discuss the model that shows us why unemployment is bad. Okay, so consider a human as an investment. Okay, so let's assume that human physical labor is an investment, and it will provide its energy and to get a job and then earn the living. So this investment will provide us physical energy and think analytical energy, means they will think and they will do the physical job. In response, they will get wages. And let's assume that this investment starts from age 10 to age 60. So it means there are 50 years available for this asset to provide energy, and and he gets returns in the form of wage. So that asset, when it works, it earns wages. So the total value of that human asset is, so net present value of human is family support if he is given any, plus present value of the wages that he will get when he's employed, that is time 0 to time total employed years. So n is total years, that is 50, minus u is unemployed years. So uh, I is the number of years. Yeah, it's U is the unemployed years. Okay, so the present value is wages divided by discount rate into number of T. So the present value of the human asset is the number of the years that he will get a wage, and net present value of number of years then he will where he will not get a wage. So you can see it here is the more the years he is unemployed, it means higher the value of U. The more the time period he is not getting a wage, the smaller the value of NPV, because he is only adding 0. 0 divided by something is 0. So the more the time the person is unemployed, the smaller the present value of that human being as an asset. Okay. So NPV is the total income that he can spend today if he get a mortgage on his potential income. So NPV explains the net present value of the human being that he can get a mortgage on that, and he can spend it on on anything that he wants. So NPV, let's assume that NPV is let's so NPV is the value of that human asset, using that a, a human can get a loan equal to NPV. So today as a mortgage. So considering that responsibility of a family, considering that he has a responsibility of family, okay, then every year of unemployment makes the spread of employed earning very thin. So let's draw the graph here. So let's see, it's x-axis, y-axis, and there is an x-axis. So let's add a label here. So it is time or his life, and here it is spending or earning. Okay, so let's move it so that it is viewable. Let's color it black. Spending or earning. So let's go. So since he has a family and he need to feed the family, so his lifetime spending might be like this, because his family is growing and their needs and wants are increasing. So his spending is stable and it is increasing over time. Okay, but let's change the color. But the earning in green may be not as stable. So he will start maybe from a from a higher salary, and he may get unemployed for some time periods, and then he get a job with a lower salary, and he may get a promotion. Then he grows, and then he gets ill again, and then he grows more. So this way, this is the way pattern of his salary. So if we get an average, so the more the time he is unemployed, so the more the time he is unemployed, the less the salary he may have. So it means there is a pressure on an individual on his whole lifetime that if he's unemployed more often, the more difficult it will be for him to manage his lifetime expenditures, because because he's not saving anything, rather he's depleting his resources. So that's it. That's being talked here. So let's clear it up. So hence, which will reduce the per month welfare of the household. So the more the time he's unemployed, the less the saving he will have. So less the welfare that his family may have throughout their lifetime. This means that unemployment is an issue that can affect the employment time. Means that if he's unemployed, then it will put a pressure on his employment time period too. Suppose you know that you only have 10 years left and you have to earn for and you are unemployed for 5 years. So when you will get a job for 5 years, it will be pressure on you that you have to earn for double the time, and you have to fulfill the 5 years demand and the previous 5 years debt, because you didn't have a job and you used a loan to fulfill your needs and wants. So more the unemployed you are, the more the pressure on you to fulfill the family's requirements when you have a job. So it's a serious issue. So let's move. So what are the costs of unemployment? So have we studied earlier how unemployment affects a person on his effect on his employment time period? Following are some economic losses. It's like there will be a loss of output and resources. So if a person is unemployed, he's wasting his resources. Secondly, if he's unemployed, then what it does it mean that he's not actually working anywhere. So there is a potential loss in output that could have been produced if he was working. Okay, then there is erosion of human capital. So it means if a person is unemployed, he is missing on the learning opportunities, he is missing on to his experience, and he's also forgetting what he learned when he was employed. So it means that the unemployed person may reduce his ability to perform efficiently. Then it will lower his living standard. Why? Because he does not have any income. He have to use his savings. So he will try to not to spend on the things that he want to, so that he can survive longer. This way it will reduce its welfare. Lastly, it will have a negative externality. What does it mean? That it will lead to crime or distress in the society. Lastly, it will lead to a loss of tax revenue. So the firm, the person, if he is not employed, he is not paying his salaries. He is not earning salaries. So actually, he is not paying income tax. So because he is not earning anything, he is not paying income tax. So this will lead to loss in tax revenue of an economy. So how we measure unemployed? There are 6 definitions. First is U1 definition is a person is unemployed for 15 weeks or longer. So it means that if a person do not have a job for like 3 to 4 months, 15 weeks or longer, we call him long-term unemployment. And all the people who do not have a job for 15 weeks, we consider him as U1 unemployed. Okay, then if a person is a U1 unemployed and plus those whose contract has been expired, means the person who are long-term unemployed plus the person who are recently unemployed, means their contract is finished, so they are now relieved of their duty. Now they are looking for new job. So U2 is long-term unemployed plus recently unemployed. So it's U2 definition. Then the U3 definition is the U2 plus the people who are looking to work. So that is a standard definition that is commonly used. That is a U3 definition that includes long-term unemployed, short-term unemployed, and the people who are looking to work. Then your U4 definition is the long-term unemployed, the short-term unemployed, the people who are looking for work, plus people who are not looking for work, means the discouraged worker. So this is the U4 definition. U5 definition is the addition, we add the marginally attached worker, means the person who is unemployed but he is not looking for work, but he will work if you give him a job. So they are marginally attached. So if you add them in the definition, it will become U5. U6 definition is all above plus part-time workers. Okay, so this way we measure the degree of utilization of labor resource. So the U1 measures the most the higher degree of wastage of the resource, and U6 includes the even if a slight wastage is there, they count it as unemployed. So these are some definitions that are used to measure unemployment. So how we measure unemployment? So there are few methods. First is percent rate of unemployment. So percent rate of unemployment means we measure unemployment in terms of number of people. So it is unemployed people divided by total labor force multiplied by 100. So it measures the number of people who are not engaged in the work. So number of people not engaged in work at the time of data collection. So this definition measures the answer in terms of number of people. Second is time rate of unemployment. Okay, so time rate of unemployment is it measures in terms of total work hours available. So H00 is total hours available, H0I is total hours worked, and HTI is total days not worked. So it measures in terms of days. So the formula can measure the degree of over or underemployment. Why? Because it measures in terms of days, not number of people. So suppose a person is he can work for 300 days a year, excluding all holidays and all casual holidays and sick leaves and public holidays. So he has a potential to work 300 days. So let's write it here. So let's assume that there are 300 days available to work for a person, and he only worked for like he only worked for 30 days, means 5 days. 30 days means let's assume it is 36 days. It means that he is working for 3 days per month. He was only able to get a job for 3 days and then he was fired. So it means by technical definition of person rate, he was not unemployed for a month because he had a job for 3 days in a month. So this person he will be not considered unemployed in terms of percent rate of unemployment, but he will be considered unemployed in time rate of unemployment, because when we will be measuring the time rate, so the formula will be how many days he work days available, that is bottom, and total days work and total days. So it will be 36 minus, and how many not worked, so 300 minus 36 is, that will be 2, how much, 264. Okay, so he has not worked for, so let's add brackets, divided by 300. So the answer will be negative something. So let's calculate. So the answer will be so let's write down. So 264 minus 36 is 88, minus 36 is 228. So minus 228 divided by 300. So divided by 300, that is 76%. So there is 76% unemployment in the economy. Okay, so this way we measure unemployment in the economy in terms of time. Okay, so let's move forward. Then let's So then there is another method that is called productivity criteria. Productivity criteria. Suppose you have done MBA and you're eligible to work as a manager, but you do not get a job as a manager. You are working as some typist or some data entry person. So your productivity as a data entry person will be less than your productivity as a manager. So according to productivity criteria, you are unemployed because your marginal productivity is less than what productivity you may have got if you have got the manager degree or manager job. So the formula may be affected by the difference in the sector of each degree of technology. So this formula tells that if you are not getting a job where you are most productive, then you are technically unemployed. But this formula is sensitive to the use of technology and the sector you are talking about. Sometimes the job is more important, but its productivity is low, so it's you cannot say he's unemployed. If, so there's some criticism on this definition. Then there is a income criteria. If average income of the worker is less than the per capita income of country, then he is unemployed. This method is representing the poverty dimension. So it means that if your income is less than the average income of a country, then you are unemployed. So this also measures if he is poor. And then recognition criteria. If the person is working less than the potential, then he is unemployed. Okay, so his potential is to become a manager, his potential is to become a leader, his potential is to become a decision maker. So but he's not getting that job, so nobody is recognizing him, so technically he is unemployed. So this definition measures the motivation of a worker. So if he's motivated, it means he's recognized, so he's employed. So these are few measures to measure qualitatively or quantitatively the degree of unemployment. Then, uh, why there is unemployment in Pakistan? So currently the unemployment rate is 5.7, where 4.8% is for males and 9% for females. So this is the old measure, but because of the current situation, the value is very high. The population growth is too high in Pakistan, and it means there is a huge inflow of new workers, but we are not growing equally, so there is a lack of growth. So it means that the high population growth is increasing labor supply, but the low GDP growth is not increasing the labor demand. So it means even though we have the increasing number of labor supply, but there is no increase in labor demand. So what is happening? There is unemployment. Mahbubul Haq in 1993 estimated that we need to grow 8% annually to absorb the labor force. So if we need to make sure that the new labor is being absorbed in the country, what we need to do is we need to grow at least 8% annually. Okay, so this will help to absorb the labor. Other reasons include that we have low quality of labor, and then there are cultural imbalances, means people have job choices. Then there's a low technology. So uh, the technology is not properly used, which is hurting the labor utilization. Then there is no investment that create new businesses. So these are few reasons that are creating unemployment in Pakistan. So what are the possible solutions? We need to find relevancy in the education, and this will increase their demand, so they will get a job. eventually. Then we can use microfinance to support entrepreneurship, which will create new businesses and demand for labor. So if you promote entrepreneurship, he will get his own job and then he will also employ more people. Then there is investment and growth. So we need to make sure we are growing at a steady rate. So it will help businesses to plan an expansion in future, which will absorb excess labor in the country. Last is skill training. We call it skill training, which is known as human capital. So if you improve the human capital, they will get the job eventually. Next is the how to settle it is using the demand and supply forces. So just like prices are set by the demand supply of any product, economic states that wage of a labor is also determined by the intersection of labor supply and labor demand. So and like all equilibriums, economics states that the wage is set by the economic forces is fair. So that's so that equilibrium wage is considered human as an input only instead of living being. Wage should not only consider the market forces; they should be they should they should consider the minimum income required to attain necessities as specified by the business ethics in Islamic economics. Also, in most of the cases, labor is exploited by the entrepreneurs. So, firm try to ensure maximum profit. For this, firm try to become a unique and differentiated. So firm produce a product in which they have least number of rival firms. On the other hand, labor get skills for the jobs which are most promising. Hence, there will be excess labor, showing that the flat labor supply curve, while the labor demand is negatively sloped, which will take over the bargaining power from the labor. So it means it is saying that since we have excess labor, so the labor supply curve is horizontal and all labor are similar to each other because they are targeting similar jobs. So what is happening? It is favoring the businesses because now they have excess stock to select from, and then they have a bargaining power to give lower wages. So we need to work like a businessman. So we are selling our labor skills. So what do we learn from economics is uh, learning from economics. So we need to present our labor services as a unique product rather than a standardized product. So if we have a standardized product, what will happen? That we will end up in a pool of labor resource where all the labors are same, which is leading to horizontal labor supply curve. But if we are unique, we will have a positive slope labor supply curve. So becoming unique will place us in the positive slope labor supply curve, which means which means that we will be able to demand higher salary. We will be able to demand higher salary. So otherwise, if we have a homogeneous, if we are standardized, so we will not be able to demand higher salary. So how to become unique when we are studying a standardized syllabus with all other students in our schools and universities. So it means that in in this scenario we would be looking for ways to learn faster and more than the other students. So as a labor, you need to look for the ways so you can learn more or better than the other students. This way, you will be able to differentiate yourself as a labor resource, and you will uh, end up becoming a different source. For example, for 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 a MS economics student, if he has published a paper, published a research paper before graduating, he will be different from other graduates because other graduates do not have a research paper and he have it. So he will have an edge in his interview. Like for MBA student or BBA student, if they have a good internship or a good project that they have done in any of their course, that will help them in transferring their skills. That will help them in getting more recognition in their interview. So this way, they will be able to break the horizontal labor supply curve. So this was a topic that we discussed today. So hopefully you understood the topic. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you very much for listening.